It's time to terminate or modify the conservatorship. Hi, I'm Darren Findling of the Probate Pro, and we're going to examine SCAO Form PC 676, SCAO for State Court Administrative Order, PC for Probate Court, Form 676. We'd be happy to give you this form. If you contact our office, we'll give it to you free of charge. With all of these SCAO forms, they are created by virtue of various statutes and court rules. In this particular case, you'll see the floating yellow arrow identifies the statutes and court rules that are relevant for this particular form. It's a petition, which means you're asking the court to do something. And when you file a petition or request, there are steps in that process to file it, to get a court hearing, and then to get a court order following the hearing. So understanding the full holistic understanding of how this process works is really critical to your success in filing this petition. And we always urge you to work with a skilled, competent probate practitioner so that you understand how this form works. Now, it's really frustrating when people fill this form out on their own, file it, get to a court hearing only to learn that they did it wrong, and then they got to start over and get another hearing date. So understanding how to fill it out is really critical. And having the supporting documentation and information to do so will really go a long way. Now, as you can see from the form, it can be used in a variety of contexts. It can be used in a request to modify the conservatorship, meaning from person A to person B, or to terminate it, have the conservatorship come to an end. It can also be used for an adult who's under conservatorship or a minor in both of those contexts. So again, that top red rectangle identifies what you're using the form for. Now, understanding that this particular form is used in both of those contexts, you'll see from those statutes at the bottom, they correspond to the conservatorship statutes for adults or for minors, as well as the court rule that talks about who is entitled to service when a petition is filed. It's also important to understand that this is not the petition to modify a guardianship. Guardianship to guard over for the well-being and care of another individual. Conservatorship for financial assets and legal related issues. So to understand the difference, you may need to file both forms with the court, but understand this is for the conservatorship only, to be differentiated from the petition for guardianship that is being requested to be terminated, or that may be requested to be terminated, of which I've provided another video explaining that SCAO form. So let's walk our way through the form. Top left corner is the county in which the probate matter, the conservatorship, is pending. Top right corner is the case number. And again, that rectangle at the top is identifying whether you're terminating or modifying, or whether it's an adult or a minor. The next section is pretty intuitive. You fill out the name of the person upon which the conservatorship is about, and the last four digits of the Social Security number. Then you identify the basis of who is filing. So you may be interested in the estate as a family member, a care provider, a case manager, or you simply may just be interested in the welfare and well-being of that individual and realize that somebody may be under conservatorship and they shouldn't be. So you state your relationship, your interest, the basis for why or how you're connected to the individual that's under conservatorship. The next section, again, pretty easy. The person that's under protection, where are they right now? What is their address and their phone number? The next section, again, is just simply an identification of the relationship of the individual that's under protection. So is there a spouse? Are there children, descendants of children? There's no descendants, and there's parents, so there's like this pecking order that you have to decide. And if there's none of them, then of course the Attorney General will get involved. So giving appropriate service of this petition is really a key function, and that's why that court rule 5.125 C25 is referenced there. You can go to that court rule to really understand who and how each person is provided with appropriate notice. And that section there's not a lot of spaces to fill in the name and address and telephone number, the relationship, and whether they're an adult or a minor. So, of course, you can attach additional paper to supplement or provide an addendum to the information that's referenced there. In addition, you'll see that there is this notice that requires that the Attorney General gets a copy as well as through the Public Administrator's Office under certain circumstances. So it's really important to understand when that occurs. The next section, section 4, is really the basis. Why are you making this request? If you're requesting that there's a modification, maybe the person who's currently the conservator is ill or has died. Maybe the person isn't performing their role correctly. If you're requesting a termination, maybe it's because you no longer need a conservator. So you're going to state the narrative, the basis for the request to make that modification, to make that termination. Why are you asking the court to make that consideration? And again, there's not a lot of space here, so often people will attach additional pieces of information. It could include a physician's certificate that indicates that that person is no longer in need of a conservator. It could indicate a death certificate that provides that the conservator that's currently in place has died. So again, provide sufficient support to the petition so that the court can make a ruling based on the information that you're providing. The next section is simply what are you requesting? Again, pretty intuitive here. You may be asking for the termination of the conservatorship. Maybe the conservator that's in place is resigning. You're asking maybe to remove the conservator. Maybe they've been suspended. Maybe they have not. And then you're asking for a successor maybe to be appointed. So that's where you fill in. And again, depending on whether you're asking to end it through a termination or modify it through the appointment of a new conservator, would dictate how you fill out that request. So this is what you're asking the court to do. You're making this request of the court to take this particular action. Let's turn to the back side of the form. Here, the top right corner, again, a place to put the case number. And then are you asking for the appointment of a temporary because there's some imminent issue that has to be addressed? Are you asking for the conservator's powers to be modified or somehow altered or limited or expanded? So that's the section for section 9 and section 10. Often in a conservatorship, there may be restrictions on the letters of authority. Maybe you want to modify or restrict those powers. Again, the document itself is pretty flexible. It has a lot of space for you to add the information that you're asking of the court in the particular petition. So again, you want to be very clear and have a clear understanding of what you're allowed to do and what you're allowed to make a request of. The next area with most of these scale forms, there's a penalty of perjury clause on it, but when you sign these forms, you're declaring under the penalties of perjury that you've examined the document and that the contents are true to the best of your information, knowledge, and belief. So again, it's very important that you have accurate, clear information on this document. So before you fill it out and submit it to the court for filing, make sure you've checked the accuracy of that information. There's a place for the petitioner to sign. The petitioner is the one that's bringing forth this request of the court with their address and phone number and basic contact information. And then if there's an attorney, the attorney's signature and their respective information. This next section relates to if there's a minor, and that minor is 14 years of age or older, the minor has a right to make a recommendation, a nomination to the court. So for example, if you're modifying the conservatorship, the 14-year-old could identify who they'd like to be as the successor conservator. So this form has a lot of flexibility. It's an important document that's used through the court system to terminate conservatorships and to modify conservatorships. And again, understanding how to navigate through this form and then filing it, paying the requisite filing fee, and then serving it pursuant to statute and court rule, and then being able to advocate the issues at the court hearing is going to assist you to get the relief that you're requesting in that order. At the Probate Pro, we are passionate about everything probate. If you have questions about the petition to terminate or modify a conservator, or any probate or trust related issue, visit us at theprobatepro.com or call us at 1-833-PROBATE.